many ways, moonshine was a mountain farmer's first cash crop. It often was the only way he had to raise hard cash money to pay his taxes and buy those things he could not grow or make on his farm, like sugar, tea, nails, and shoes. Much as it had been for their ancestors, making and selling moonshine in the 20th century was all about raising cash to buy those things they couldn't grow on their farms.
Back then, they're doing it to live off of, help live. Which they had gardens to live, but you just didn't have no money to buy anything, extra. Help pay the job. You can't pay the juice bill and light bill with a bucket of beans or nothing like that. You had to have money for other things.
Making moonshine was not easy work, and it certainly wasn't for lazy people.
The sugar you chop uphill, the hard work, you had to be a stout to do it. You couldn't be a weakling, you couldn't be lazy. Lazy people didn't make whiskey. You had to be a worker to make whiskey.
And it's just something that you like to do. I mean, you get a habit of it, even if it's hard work. But I didn't know no better. We didn't know no better if it was hard work or not, because we ain't never done nothing else, We didn't leave our home to go up north and work in the mushy room. We stayed here and survived, doing what we had to do.
When setting up a still, you had to have two things, good water and good cover.
Start with, you had to have water, plenty of good water. You had to have good water to make good whiskey. Out in the woods, you had to have a place where there's trees over your still. You had smoke from your burners. You had steam. You had to have the timber to dispense the smoke and the steam. Of course, the easier place you could find, better off you was, close to the road if possible. A lot of times it'd be 3,000 feet from a road. You had to carry all that stuff.
And me, if I was making a still, I'd get good coverage, for one thing, and I would get water, good water. You can tell what's different in the water. If you got a lot of stinging weeds and water weeds, you got good water right there. I mean, that's all you have to look for. Rainwater makes better moonshine than any water you can get. The way I look at it, I mean, I ain't never really actually put it to a test,
In the days before commercially available medicines, mountain folk relied on moonshine as the base for a lot of homebrewed medicines and remedies.
They put brown sugar and honey in it, stir it up, ginger, they call it ginger stew, which was a good medicine, and still is, I'd say. I don't know if too many people use it no more, but it worked good.
Moonshine remedies were also used on their farm animals.
Buy cattle from them, a stockyard, and maybe you haul it and they get you shipping fever. You can take, some good moonshine, pour it down that calf, and, pour about a half a pint or something, how big the animal is, and it'll sweat it out, and it'll paper break.
With increasing prohibition profits and the rise of illegal commercial stills, law enforcement slowly but surely rose to meet what was really a big challenge, trying to put a dent in the flow of illegal whiskey out of the Appalachian Mountains.
You was always looking over your shoulder. Every part about it you done, you was looking over your shoulder. You know that it's going to come. You hear a twig break, you look around and see who it was, what happened. Hopefully it's a deer.
If anything it's worth doing, you ain't got risk behind it, it ain't fun. I mean, if it wasn't a little bit against the law, it's just everything. If you ain't got risk behind it of getting caught, it makes it more, interesting. It's like dating a woman's married. If you ain't it's better dating anybody married because there ain't no risk to it, The
feds knew that moonshiners needed water, so often they would pick an Ashanti Creek and follow it to its source, looking for stills or pipes leading to stills all along the way.
You couldn't stay in one place too long. Somebody was going to find it. You had what you call slop coming from the still waste. It had to run off somewhere. Showed up somewhere, to happen to hit in the creek. It'd go for 4 miles. Somebody would see it, and that's, well, there's a still up the road. That's the law looks for stuff like that.
Back when I was growing up, there was a lot of federal men walking these woods. They'll follow a creek line. Main thing is to get a hose and cover it up where they can't see. They'll follow a creek all the way up that mountain. If they find a hose naked, laying out on top of the ground, they're going to follow that hose to your steel. Then that gives you time to run if you have to, if you're able.
All law enforcement was not equal. Locally, you had elected sheriffs enforcing the laws of the land. These officers had grown up in the moonshine culture and sometimes even had family members who still made moonshine. They often didn't go looking for steals, instead only respond to complaints or if there is a problem they could not ignore.
The law is going to catch you, they're going to do something about it. But they won't break their neck of trying to get to a steal, I'll tell you that. The law enforcement, a lot of them drinks moonshine. That's their history too. Families too.
As the moonshine business became more professional in the latter half of the 20th century, a clear division of labor became the norm. Moonshiners still made their product, but now a special breed of daredevil had arisen called transporters, who had fast cars. They would pick up the moonshine, usually in glass jars, from the maker and deliver it to wholesalers. Transporters learned to drive fast cars on bad mountain roads. Many transporters later took their skills to the racetrack.
If you had a real good car and a good driver, if it just one deputy after you or something, back before they had the radios, you could get away with it. You could outrun them, outdrive them. Have more gas than they had, more nerve. Most people did have more nerve than the local law had anyhow. You get away with it. But as time went on, highway patrol got involved in the radios. You could outrun one highway patrol, but you couldn't outrun that. And got on the radio down there, had the roadblocks. You didn't know where he was at. And one time I had 40 cases on no big Chrysler car. Pick up springs, putting under it instead of car springs. Going over in Tennessee, and I got the Mouth Wilson over here on the old bridge that used to be there, and the lights come on behind me and the lights in front of me. I was on the bridge, nowhere to go. So I just went out the window and down the bridge into the river. Left the car sitting there, and what was in it. That's the kind of bad luck stories you have.
Transporters ran the risk of having their cars seized and sold at auction if they were caught.
They kept your automobile if they caught you. They could auction it off. You could go back and buy it yourself back, or let somebody buy it for you. If you a mind to, The cars are set up right there, it's pretty expensive, good springs on them and a good engine in them and everything. Most people would go try to have somebody buy them back for them.
Regardless of whether it was local law or the feds, most moonshiners didn't bear any hard feelings toward those that caught them. They realized that the officers were just doing their job.
ATF was really nice about it. They weren't arguing about it. They were nice people. They had a job to do. They weren't mean about it in no ways. And of course the county law was respectful about it. Like people at Major Wish never did weren't angry at the ATF people, nothing, bad luck, they caught you, and that was it.
As with all things, the golden era of moonshine making eventually came to an end. The rise of local ABC stores, higher product prices, changing public attitudes, and strict law enforcement took the incentive out of making it for many.
I'd say in the 30s up to maybe from the early 30s to middle 50s was the best time. More whiskey made at that time, more light liquor made between the 30s and the middle 50s never than any other time.
Another factor that helped end the dominance of the moonshine culture was the growth of the marijuana and crystal meth industries.
Well, it really hurt the business because, people, a lot of them, the younger generation from up, they used to, smoking marijuana. They didn't drink as much. Now all these other drugs coming in, that's killing the moonshine again.
You didn't hear nobody, people didn't get killed over making liquor. Nobody didn't get mad and shoot nobody, but they do today over drugs. So what was the moonshine so bad at, Of course, they weren't right in God's eye, but It was a thing that people accepted.
And Ice County has always got a reputation of being a moonshine county, and it's in Wilkes also. They're going to make moonshine. Ain't no outsiders going to go in and stop them either.